Hello, thank you so much everybody for joining us today for this instalment of Creative Futures. I think we'll start off with a few introductions. So firstly, my name is Lisa Law and I'm one of the career staff here at the university that's been helping to put together the Creative Futures programme. And as you can see, I'm joined by two others today. Firstly, Claire, do you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, hi, I'm Claire. I'm Public Engagement Coordinator for the Faculty of Arts, Business and Social Sciences at the university. And I work on a lot of our public facing projects, particularly this Creative Futures one with Lisa.
Lovely. Thanks, Claire. And as you can see, our guest speaker today is Aabidah Shah. Aabidah, would you like to just say hello and just really quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name's Aabidah Shah and I am a University of Wolverhampton graduate. I'm currently a trainee teacher and a photographer. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, now you may have joined us in the past, you might not have, so just a quick explanation as to what this is all about. We've been putting on Creative Futures programs and webinars since October. And this is where we've been inviting guest speakers in who are in creative disciplines, either creative roles or creative industries or both, to talk about what their career is like, because sometimes it can be a bit confusing knowing what kinds of jobs are out there within art, design and media fields. So today we've got Aabidah in with us and she's going to be talking to us about her career, which is really interesting actually because there's several branches to it. She's a trainee teacher, but she's also an artist whose medium is photography and a commercial photographer. So there's three things to explore here, which is really interesting, and also how she sort of balances all of those three. Before we start chatting with Aabidah, we're going to just go through a little bit of housekeeping so everybody knows how it's going to run today. You may have questions as we go through, which is absolutely brilliant if you do. This is a really good chance to ask our guest speaker lots of questions. The way to do that is through the Q&A, which you'll see on your Zoom toolbar. All you need to do is open that up and type your question to us, and Claire and myself will take those questions as we go through the session and obviously at the end as well. We have got the chat feature running as well. That's so that we can post messages to you or web links that might be useful. I'd just like to remind you that this is a public platform, so please don't share anything that's confidential or sensitive. And then finally, we will be recording today's session so you can watch it afterwards, and others that weren't able to attend will be able to watch it as well. Okay, so I hope that sounds all right with everybody. I guess we'll turn now to Aabidah and start chatting about your career and finding out a little bit more about it. So you were just saying that you're joining us from school actually as a trainee teacher. I was just wondering whether you could tell us a little bit about your sort of day-to-day life as a trainee teacher and what it's like.
I feel like I'm in like a bit of like a routine now. So it's like I always get to school at about like 8:15, like that's when like my morning at school starts. And then I try and use that maybe 15-20 minutes before we have like our morning meeting just to kind of get like some printing done that I need to do quickly, or some cutting or anything like that. And just to kind of say hello to other people in the faculty and that kind of thing. We usually always have a meeting in the morning, whether it's like a staff full briefing or like with our year groups, because the form that I'm attached to, it's a year 8 group. So I'm with I'll be with the year 8s for that kind of year group meeting that we have. And then we have form first, so I'll be with them, but I'm planning on involving myself a bit more in the form time once I'm more settled into like my timetable. So I've just been kind of observing, kind of getting to know some of the kids and stuff, which has been really good. And then school starts at like 9:05. We only have 4 periods in the day, but the lessons are an hour and 15 minutes rather than just like an hour. So that's very different to what I'm kind of used to. And a lot of my lessons are double lessons. So 2.5 hours is like a long time. So I'm having to like change how I used to plan my lessons in regards to the doubles. And then I don't usually leave school until like between 4:30 and 6. Like I try and stay back as much as I can to get everything done at school, because it's like I don't want to bring too much home with me and, you know, be on the laptop at all hours doing everything. I try and do as much as I can in school, but you can't help but take work home. But I try and just get a lot done at school, whether it's before or after, you know, whether it's like printing or creating some examples. Like today after school, I'll be staying to do some mono printing with oil pastels and ink, just so I have my own examples that I can kind of show the pupils when I deliver their lesson tomorrow. But yeah, and I try and get a coffee in here and there. I got one with me today with my mug that my cousin gave me. But yeah, it's just, yeah, something always happens though. Every day is very similar in regards to this routine that I have, but no day is actually the same in regards to what I do, what I see, which is quite interesting. It's a bit of an oxymoron, I think. But yeah.
I sort of got a sense now of what your time scale is like each day. What is it that you're teaching? Is it art and design, and what does that encompass?
Yeah, it's art and design, because obviously there isn't a photography PGC. Like photography is like more of a very recent GCSE and more of a recent subject that's done in like secondary school and stuff. So but with this direction of getting my teacher qualification, I'll be able to teach photography. So when I'm like looking for jobs and stuff, I'm searching like art and photography. So obviously I'll be qualified in art and design. I've got that experience and that classroom experience, but you know, my background and my undergrad was in photography. My residency was in photography. The past 7 years I've been doing photography. Even like at the school I'm at now, I've been doing like a lot of photography with some different students, and we keep making jokes like they're getting my work for free, like they're able to do whatever, because I've done quite a few photo shoots with a few people from a few different year groups. So I am able to kind of incorporate that into it, which is really good, and I'm really happy that I'm able to do that, because I think if it was just art alone, I don't know how much I would excel. So yeah,
that's interesting. So you do have a little bit of freedom to interpret your role and to teach content that you're really passionate about, obviously, as well as teaching all of the national curriculum, I suppose, and what the government wants you to teach in regard to art and design.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering, what do you find, or what do you like about it, and what are the challenges?
Well, I really like being in the classroom, like in front of the class. Like, I don't know, there's just something about kind of educating them and like kind of giving them like a little bit of insight and stuff. It's just really nice. Like, especially like when I was in school, I never had like a teacher that like looked like me. So it's like quite interesting. Like at my first placement, I had a few kids come up to me, you know, the same like I think background as me, you know, some wore hijab and stuff, and they're like, "Miss, why do you want to be an art teacher?" And then I kind of explained to them a little bit, like, you know, I never really saw someone that looked like me. And then she was just like, "But you kind of look like me." And I was like, well, that's what I want in it. Like that's what I'm trying to do. I want to just kind of add to that kind of diversity that we need. Like I didn't have a person of color teacher in any of my creative subjects until I was at college. So I went through all of like my secondary school, and it was just like white teacher, white teacher, white teacher. It wasn't until college where I had a person of color, and then obviously at university we've had like a little bit of a variety as well. But yeah, it's just I want to be that representation. I want kids to kind of not shy away or like feel like, oh, I can't do that, no one else like me does it. Like especially with like an Asian background, like my cousins are like pharmacists and doctors and stuff, like, or they do like a large variety of stuff. But it's like for me kind of breaking that stereotype a little bit, kind of having to prove myself in regards to like some of the elders. Like it has been a bit of a thing, like, are you sure you want to do that? Like make sure you always have like the teaching as like a backup. And it was always a thing that was kind of said, if you're going to do a creative subject as your undergrad, you have to do PGC, you have to And then when I did my residency after my undergrad, I was still getting comments like, don't forget teaching. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get to it. But I've got this year of just being a creative, just being a full-time artist, not having to worry about anything else. And I basically went on a tangent just then. So I think I stayed way away from the question.
No, that's fine. No, that was all really interesting. My question was about challenges and things that you also really enjoy, but I think you've answered that really, because you sort of said what your, I don't know, would you call it your mission really, to be that teacher that represents a diverse community, which surely pupils also represent, don't they? Because we have people within West Midlands who come from all kinds of ethnic backgrounds, and lots of different different backgrounds really. So yeah, it's interesting to hear about your mission, as it were, to become a teacher and what you're all about, but also really interesting to hear about your community and how other people's view of what you should do career-wise, well, they've let it be known by the sound of things. I mean, how free have you felt to pursue different career paths? Do you feel that that is something that's quite controlled? Have you had to sort of defend your career choices, and how, if you have had to do that, how have you done it?
Yeah, from when I kind of first started out, like originally I was at sixth form and I was doing physics, chemistry, biology and geology. Like I was good at it, but wasn't the passion. So like I had to try and like convince my mum to like let me leave that and pursue photography like elsewhere. So that was a bit of a hassle, but eventually kind of she was like, okay, you know what, if you can find a course to get on and you get on it, do it. But then like with like some other people, it's just a bit like someone always has something to say, and it's not just specific to like my family. It's like in brown culture, it is a thing. Everyone has something to say, everyone has an opinion, and it's just very well known that that's always a thing. You know, we people get compared to their cousins, people get compared to how their parents were when they were younger. It's a big thing. And I think I'm at the point now where I have kind of proved myself enough. Like I did my undergrad, I walked away with the first, I got the Kodak award, and then the residency. I think I've done enough to kind of prove myself, and I'm at the point now, if people want to kind of make snarky remarks, I can give it back if I have to. Like instead of just kind of being a bit like, oh yeah, I can say something now if I want to, and I'm always happy to kind of show people what I'm doing and like explaining or defending why I'm doing what I'm doing, because it is very important. And there is so many creatives out there, especially like South Asian ones, and it's just they don't have that encouragement. And yeah, I feel like I've had some people come to me like, oh, I've seen that you've done this, how were you able to kind of get past the whole family thing, and that kind of thing. So it's really nice that I'm already kind of helping people like on like a little small scale. I would love to do it on like much larger scale, like if I was to reach more people to kind of see me and my story a bit. But yeah, it's been a bit up and down. But yeah.
So for you, it's been important to kind of prove your credibility by getting the right awards and the right qualifications. And it strikes me that you're somebody that is now quite confident really in explaining what your career aspirations are and sort of defending yourself. And it's really nice to see you as an example of somebody so recently who's graduated, who's able to do that. So yeah, just thought I'd say that really to you as we're going through the session. Okay, so we talked a little bit about teaching. You've mentioned your residency. For people who haven't met you before, can you just say a little bit more about your work as I guess a fine artist and a commercial photographer as well, and what that was like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, okay, so I started pursuing photography when I was about 17, and for the first like 2 or 3 years of my photography career, I was doing like concerts and events and like meet and greets and like tours and that kind of thing. So, you know, I was always at like a different show. I was meeting a lot of different people. But there was, I feel like, but as like a girl, like as like a woman, it's like you can kind of get looked at a bit funny in this kind of environment. Because I remember there was a few times I've been backstage at a show, and this happened a few times to me, that someone would be like, "Oh, what are you doing back here? You're not allowed here." And I'm like showing my camera, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'm just like, well, you know, whatever. And then I went to this like one event after not doing events for like so long, and there was like a new kind of circle of people other than like the people that I kind of already knew that invited me. And I was backstage, and some guys, they were like, "Do you even know who we are?" And I'm just thinking, no, I don't. Like, and they were so like offended, and they were trying to question me who I was. Bear in mind, I had been invited by like people that had been doing this for however long. And it's just so weird. But it got to the point like everyone kind of started to kind of know me a bit. You know, I'm still in touch with like a handful of people that I met in those years. You know, I'm still friends with quite a few. And I wouldn't kind of change it like in regards to what I was able to do, but I feel like I deserved a bit more credit in regards to like what I did and stuff. Like I wasn't like, most of the time wouldn't know the artist. Like I wasn't going to shows as like a fan, and then it's just, oh no, there was a bit of toxicity and stuff, like going backstage. You know, some people think they're really God's gift to humanity, and they let that show. And the way that some people treat women is just absolutely ridiculous. And again, I've seen that kind of thing firsthand. But yeah, so that was like for the first few years. But then once I kind of went to uni, I didn't have much time for the concerts, going to a different show every week and going on tour for a week or a month or whatever. I didn't have the time for that. So I kind of steered away from it a bit and focused more on the projects, because a lot of my assignments were like, you know, my own projects, that kind of thing. So I kind of went a bit more into like the artistic route, the fine art kind of route. But during all of this time, I was still doing like events like birthday parties, or, you know, I've done a couple of weddings, like family photo shoots, young children. You know, I built like a nice clientele now over the past like 7, 8, something like that years now. So I've got like a nice clientele. I've got a bunch of like kind of returning clients, and, you know, there's a lot of word of mouth that kind of gets me more people. So like in regards to when I do like the commercial stuff, I don't necessarily need to post a lot for it or advertise a lot for it, because I've got a good network of people who kind of talk and I get more people. But then when I do the projects, that's a lot more online. Like I have my website, you know, I post videos sometimes about some projects. Like I have my Instagram, and that's been kind of, hasn't been that active recently since teaching. I'm not gonna lie, having to balance it both is a little bit tricky. But before the teaching, I was quite like active on it with different projects, you know, reaching out for participants to kind of come forward and be like, hey, do you want to talk to me about like maybe mental health? Do you want to, you know, be a part of this like secret project, or, you know, a nice kind of variety of thing. But it's like, there's the commercial side that kind of makes me the money and, you know, kind of pays my bills a little bit. And then there's the project side that sometimes I can get funded for, sometimes I have to do it out of my own pocket, or, you know, and they're two very different, but then sometimes the people from each side, they can collide a little bit. Like there's been times I've done a project with someone, they'd be like, oh, can I book you for like this or something? Or someone's I've worked with before, and then they've seen a project that I'm doing and they've been like, oh, I could probably be a part of that. So it's interesting when they kind of collide with each other.
I mean, you've just touched on something actually, which I was kind of curious about. You know, obviously you're wanting to go into teaching, and that is a massive, like, that's going to take up a lot of your time. Do you anticipate being able to continue with your, you know, your photography business? I mean, or are you just going to sort of see how that pans out?
I have every intention to do both. I do. Like, ideally, like in an ideal world, it would be really great if I was to be able to get like a part-time teaching position. So I'm not on like that full timetable.
Yes.
And then being able to kind of do the photography stuff too. Because obviously, like weekends and evenings I can do, you know, in the holidays I can do. But it's just like I have been kind of seeing that kind of battle between the two right now, because since starting my PGCE and being on like the 2 different placements, I've had to decline jobs because I can't commit to them. I'm having to like kind of signpost them to like someone else, which I'd rather do than decline completely, because I have a lot of friends who are photographers. I have a lot of friends who are like graphic designers and, you know, videographers and stuff. So I can kind of send people in like different directions. But declining work is so disheartening and it is so sad. But I did manage to do one job during my placement last year. I was only there for a couple of months, and the job offer came through and the days fell in the half term. So for about 3 or 4 days of the half term, I had like a 3-4 day job with this company. I was doing like all their marketing images for their website and stuff. So then it was like my half term wasn't even a half term either, because I was still kind of like working. Like the first 3 or 4 days was literally solely just photographing, but I'd missed it so much. And before I started this placement, I managed to book like a handful of jobs within that first week of January before having to kind of start school. And I just did them like back-to-back kind of jobs, just so I could do it. And now, because now I'm kind of learning to use my time a little bit better, I'm now accepting jobs that are like a bit further along, but with clients that like are like returning clients, I have to kind of have a bit of a conversation sometimes, like, hey, I would love to do it, but because of the whole teaching thing right now, let's pencil it in for now, and then we'll reconvene a bit nearer the time, and then we'll do that. And then they're happy to like wait for me and stuff. Like I had this one job which it was a 2 job. It was a photo shoot, cake smash, and a party. And I was like, okay, cake smash I can definitely do. We can do it on an evening after school. I'll leave straight away and I'll bring all my equipment and we'll sort it. But then they wanted the party done as well, like for video. And I was thinking, oh God, how am I going to do this? Like, I know I won't have the time to kind of edit it really quickly. But because they'd seen my work through their family member, they were like, you know what? Take all the time you need for the video. It's fine. Just as long as you can do it, we're happy. So yeah, it's just
so there's 2 things there, isn't there? There's your like really hot on time management, and I guess having a really great relationship with your clients. I suppose those 2 things are like massively important really right now for what you're balancing, I guess.
Definitely. Like I was like so shocked that she was like, now we want you. So that like she's happily waiting, you know. I've almost got one of the videos done that I'm doing. Like I think within the next 3 days I'll have it done, and ordinarily I would get everything done within 2 weeks, you know, whether it's images or video or whatever, or prints or anything like that. I'll get done within 2 weeks. But I didn't even start working on it until like maybe 3 or 4 weeks later. But I was so okay with that because we had that conversation. Like I didn't have to like overwork myself to like burn out and stuff, because she wanted my work and she valued my work. So I was able to kind of have that time, do the teaching, put all that stuff on pause for a bit, do whatever I got to do, my lessons, and then when I've got the time, I can kind of do a little bit of editing, you know, between everything. I try and do some editing on the video and stuff. Hopefully by the end of this week it'll be done. I can just kind of send it out like, hey, thanks so much, but you know, you got it. But yeah, it's quite crazy to me how much people value me sometimes.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, your work, you know, obviously is you obviously, I guess that's the third point, isn't it? Is your time management, good relationship with your clients, but also having great work in the first place, I guess, you know, that people want to work with you. So there's the 3 key things there. And And I suppose keeping all your sort of online presence up to date as well is massively important, isn't it?
Aabidah, you touched on this already. As I was just listening to all of the things that you do and lots of the juggling, and you come across as a person that's got an awful lot of energy anyway. But I'm just wondering, do you do anything to make sure that you don't burn out, and that you give yourself a bit of time to breathe, and whatever else you need to do just to sort of stay sane?
I try to. So I used to run a lot. I don't necessarily much now, but last year I started running in like February, and then like that was like in peak time of like me doing my residency and everything, so I was like having to like relearn how to like balance stuff. So I would go running like every night. Like last year I lost like 4 stone just because of like running and like eating right and stuff. So running does kind of help me, and even now that I don't get the time to do it as often as I used to when I did have the freedom a bit when I was just an artist in resident, now I appreciate that a lot more. Like I went for a run like last week, I think, and it's like I said, it's not like an often thing at all anymore, but I enjoy it so like I get like a runner's high. Like some people laugh at me, they're like, how do you like running? And I'm just like, oh no, I feel good, but I only run at night because obviously I'm a big girl. I'm embarrassed for someone to see me run, so I run at night so no one has to see me. But yeah, I like running. And then you got to have a good nap every so often. You got to watch a little bit of Netflix. Sometimes you just kind of need that time. Like sometimes I'll just like switch my phone off and just watch something for half an hour. But yeah, it can be hard sometimes kind of getting out of your own head. I do have like some mental health issues as well that I've had forever, that I've just had to kind of just deal with like different medications or counseling and therapy and that kind of thing. And it can be difficult to kind of manage, but I have good people around me. I have really great friends and I have really good family. It's just, I don't know, I keep good people around me, and it's their kind of good energy feeds off my energy and my energy feeds off their energy, and it's just, yeah, I've got really good people around me. I've always got someone I can go to, and like they'll kind like my friends, bless them, they'll know how to kind of react with me. Like they can kind of tell if I need like a solution or if I just need to like rant and stuff, and they're really good to me. I think I've got a couple of them watching here as well. But yeah, I got good people around me. Keeps me sane.
It's interesting. So many of the guest speakers that we've had have said how important it is to have a good support network and a good community around them, for all sorts of reasons. So just for support and encouragement, not underestimating that at all, but also for creative input and feedback and criticism and those sorts of things. And it sounds like you're a person that's very good at building that support network, with your friends and family, but out with your clients as well, and creatively as well. So it's a really important strategy, I think, that's coming out in terms of how to build a creative career. It's the people that are around you.
Definitely.
I'm just wondering, we've got a few questions, haven't we, Claire? Is now a good time to ask a few of those?
So one from Vic asks, how do you find the balance to manage teaching and photography? I mean, I guess we've already touched on that, but is there anything else you would want to sort of add?
Yeah, so obviously we have touched on it like a little bit. It is hard to kind of find the balance because of the fact that I have so many things I'm juggling, and it's not even just teaching and photography. I have my family, and even though I don't live at home anymore, I still try and kind of go back as much as I can and help out. My mum was recently in hospital, so I tried to go home a couple of times even though it was the half term, but then I still had school days I was in. So it's like, it's not just a balance of teaching and photography. If it was just teaching and photography, it'd be great, but it's not. Like, I live out, so I have to kind of balance home life and kind of, cleaning the house, doing the laundry, that kind of thing, as well as, seeing my family and seeing my friends, having my alone time. And it's just, it is a lot, but so far I'm kind of doing it. And it's like, I need to sometimes get a bit better at recognizing though when I'm doing a bit too much, because I can sometimes suddenly get really overwhelmed and I'm thinking, why am I going, like I feel like I'm going crazy, what's going on, until I sit down and I have a little think, and then I clock and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm trying to do too many things at once. Then I have to kind of just step back a little bit and just go on like a little cleanse, a little break from like everything, which isn't always the easiest thing to do when you have so many people that kind of, you know, rely on you sometimes. So I do kind of feel guilty about that sometimes when I do have to kind of, you know, turn my phone off, or, you know, just kind of, you know, not pick up a phone call or something. I do feel pretty guilty about that sometimes, but I know it's kind of good for me, and I've got to kind of look after me sometimes as well. So yeah, I know the importance of having to look after myself.
Okay, and a comment really from Vic. Love the fact that you mentioned your culture and what it is really like being a woman of colour thriving. Thanks for that comment. And I suppose that really kind of brings me on to the next question from Minaz. How were you managing to ignore other people's criticism? When we were sort of talking about that earlier on.
I couldn't at first, you know, and even now, even though I'm getting better at it, it's not perfect. Like, it used to get to me a lot, like having like some scoffs from certain people, or like if I was talking about something, they'd be like, or just, I don't know, it was a lot. And it's just like, you know, not being taken seriously because like I'm trying to be a photographer. Like, it's just like, people need photos to get taken. Like at our weddings, at our parties, who do we have there? We have a photographer there, we have a videographer there, you know, we pay them. Like, people happily throw out however much for photographers and videographers. Like, why can't that be something that I do just because, you know, I'm a girl? Like, you know, even at all like the Desi weddings and stuff that I've been to, usually the photographers are men. You know, when we have like the big events and stuff, I've seen a lot of male photographers, but there is like a clientele out there that do want just women photographers. Like, you know, when they have the girl nights, you know, maybe women aren't wearing their hijab and stuff, they're gonna only want women. And you know, I've done a couple of like mehndis and like dolki nights and stuff, so they've wanted a woman photographer, so they've been willing to hire and, you know, put that money in, put their hand in their pocket to kind of pay, you know, for a woman photographer, and it is very valued. But yeah, people just don't kind of see it all the time. But I think doing it for this long, being where I'm at now, people kind of like, I'm not just someone who was just, oh yeah, she's at uni in photography. No, like I graduated photography, I moved on to a residency with an award, and I've got like oh, I haven't mentioned this, I got a book, I got a zine for one of my projects, and I've got one of them. And you know, I'm in a place where I've done quite a bit, and I feel like I don't have to keep proving myself, but I just feel like as society, how it is in brown culture, it's just, I'm probably always gonna have to kind of keep upping myself. But you know what, that makes me better anyway. I've always got something to do. I always have something to like look forward to. I don't like kind of not doing anything. I always have to like, if like, even if I'm just like sitting down, sometimes I'm like sending emails, or like I'm writing a list of, oh, what can I do next, what do I need to do tomorrow? Like, yeah, I do a lot. But
you've achieved so much. It's amazing.
Yeah, for someone so young as well, you know, you've done loads, and you should be really proud.
Thank you. I'm actually turning 25 on Sunday.
That's young compared to us.
And happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you. No, but I feel, I'm in a secondary school, I thought, oh, because some of these kids, they're like, I'll say something and they're like, Miss, what's that? Or what do you mean, who's that? And I'm just like, oh my God, like they make me feel older than I am, honestly. But yeah, it's interesting. To be honestly, for so long I wanted to be in higher education, like post 16, like in colleges and universities. It wasn't until last year I decided that I was gonna do secondary education, because when I applied for my PGCE, I messed up one of the applications and I put secondary education by mistake, and I wanted to do good in the interview. So I was like, you know what? It'll be good practice. why would I want to do secondary education if I wanted to? And then those reasons that I was thinking of for that first interview became actual reasons. And I was like, oh my God, have I been thinking like all wrong this entire time? Like, no, I want to get in before they've made those post-school decisions. I want them to kind of know that they can kind of pursue it post-school and all that kind of thing. So it was like an accident that kind of got me here. But I'm so glad, because I know that this is where I'm meant to be. And it's like not even just a teacher in the classroom. Like I care a lot about like safeguarding and pastoral support and that kind of thing. So I feel like eventually I'll branch out into these other kind of roles. And it's just, secondary school is a place for me, honestly. It really is. So.
I mean, I think you're right. It's not just about teaching, is it? There are so many other hats that you have to wear as a teacher. Yeah. You know, there is that caring element, and particularly, I suppose it depends what age group you're teaching, but then you're also responsible for that safeguarding. And
yeah, exactly. You've got to look at it a lot. Like I didn't have like the best time in school. Like I don't know if I can say it on here. Trigger warning.
Say whatever you're comfortable with saying.
Yeah, trigger warning. That's fine.
I feel like everyone here knows anyway. Looking at these names, everyone knows. So I got abused as a kid, right? And I look back at it now as an adult, and I'm thinking, how did any teacher see a poem that I'd written or a picture that I drew and not thought to question it? And obviously, like as a kid, you don't think anything then. But now, I'm a grown up. I'm a whole adult. Like, and I look back and I'm thinking, if someone just asked me if I was okay, I probably would have like spilled the beans on everything. And I kind of want to be able to kind of, you know, listen out for particular conversations, you know, look at people's artwork that they're doing. Could there be a deeper meaning? You know, I want to be that safe person that kids can come to. And already so far, I've had like a handful of kids kind of reach out to me in regards to like mental health or things going on at home and, you know, that kind of thing. And that's just very, very important to me, because being a teacher isn't just being a teacher in the classroom. Like you said, you've got different hats that you got to have. And I just want to take all the good parts from the other teachers that I did have, like once I did speak up, and kind of put them all together with a bit of me, but get it earlier on. Because like once I did speak up, they were great. Like, you know, we did everything that we needed to, you know, we got all the right people involved and everything like that. But if someone like asked me if I was okay, so, you know, or like looked a bit deeper into like the art I was creating, it probably could have ended a little bit sooner than it did. And if I can save someone from 2 years of abuse, it being just like maybe 3 months or something, like, you know, getting it while it's fresh, that would be great for me. That's why I want to be able to do, you know, pick it up really quickly. So oh, my mum commented saying proud of you, and then in brackets got mum. That's cute. But yeah, like it's very important to me. And I generally do feel like I probably will end up in some sort of pastoral role or some sort of safeguarding type thing, because it is very important to me. You know, and I feel like, again, with representation, if you don't have a teacher that you kind of can relate to, you're not going to necessarily want to speak. Like, you know, not like if you're not, like, not saying like if you're not Pakistani you're not going to get me, but like when it comes to like certain things, like in regards to different cultures and stuff, like it goes a long way having that someone that does kind of look like you. It does go a long way having someone from that same culture as you, because they understand it like in a way that someone else just wouldn't. So yeah,
that's kind of, you've kind of got over the first barrier there, haven't you, with someone like wanting to share something really private with you. I think that's I mean, we're so led, aren't we, by imagery and how people look. I think if you can relate to someone that they look like you, then that's kind of, I think that's quite a big thing, isn't it, at the moment? So yeah,
definitely
I can see that. I've got a question here from Manaz. Asks, what did you do before university?
So before university, so like I said, obviously I did my GCSEs, as you know, as we always do, and then I went to sixth form for a year, did physics, chemistry, biology, and geology. And then I went to college, and then I did photography for 2 years. And then I had a gap year before I even started university. Like I didn't know if I was going to go to university. Like I wanted to go to a different university, and it was like kind of too far away to kind of move. And I just couldn't do that. Like, I was living at home, I was looking after my mom. Like, I've been a young carer since I was about 12 years old. I've done a lot. And, moving, I'm in Birmingham, and that was at Bournemouth. So moving that far out, it wouldn't have happened. It would not have happened. But with University of Wolverhampton, it's like, it was in like close enough to like commute, but then also close enough and far enough to like move out if I was going to be okay to do that and stuff. And it was just, if I started uni a year earlier, I don't think I would have stayed. Like, I think I needed that gap year. Like, it was a bit of time to kind of just focus on me a little bit, in regards to like my mental health, or just being in education for year, like constantly, it can be a bit tiring, and it can be a bit just exhausting sometimes. So taking that year out was very helpful for me. It's not for everyone. Like, some people, they probably wouldn't maybe not be able to do it, or they might not be able to go back into education after taking that break. But yeah, I feel like I had a couple of different things before uni, but once I got to uni, it was straight on from there. So yeah.
Okay.
I was
sorry,
also,
go on.
sorry,
No,
talking at the same
go.
time. I was also going to say, it's actually quite tough to get onto a teacher training course. A lot of people are interested in teaching as a profession. So I was just wondering, what sorts of things do you think you did that helped you get onto that course?
So already I do have some experience, but not in secondary. I did a work experience while I was at sixth form at a primary school, and then I did placement during my undergrad at college. So I have a bit of classroom experience, but just not in like this kind of this age group, this age bracket. So I kind of, when I applied, I was very, like, I think I left it a bit late as well. Like, I don't know, I just procrastinate because it was a big thing of like, was I doing it for me, or was I doing it for everyone else? Because even though for a while I knew I wanted to be a teacher, even though there was the whole thing of you can't do photography unless you're going to do a PGCE, like I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I used to play teacher when I was school, like when I was in kid, like a kid, like before. Me and my sister actually laugh about this a little bit. Like when she was like a little baby, I would be like the teacher, and I'd make her and like my teddies be like the pupils and stuff. So teaching has always been something that I kind of wanted to do, but then it was making me feel a bit like, am I doing it for everyone else? Am I doing it for myself? Like, it was still kind of getting yapped in like my ear, like, yeah, it's great you're doing this art thing, but don't forget teaching. And it was getting to me, and I was like, I don't want to do it if like it's because of everyone else. Like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it for me. So I did have like this bit of battle. Like, I was thinking, do I just like not do it, just to annoy everyone, or just to like, I was like, yeah, I can't just not do anything for like another year. Like, so I did apply, and I spoke a lot about the fact that yes, my undergrad is in photography, and that's not like the most common art that we would have in art and design in schools and stuff. I was able to kind of show that I can appreciate all art. I'm a good talker, so I was able to kind of engage my interviewer and stuff, and I was just able to kind of like talk the talk a little bit, I think. And I spoke a lot more about the whole safeguarding aspect, and I was very like, I was talking a lot, but I was very open with what I was saying. Like, I was very like open about the fact that yes, I'm not a painter, I'm not a drawer, but I know some skills, I can do better, and I know the theory behind things as well. And it's just like, it's one of those things that it's just, it will take a bit of time. So I was like, I was pleading my case. Like, I know I'm not like up there with everyone else, but, I do have that creative background. I do have my degree. I know kind of how to talk, and I know how to, be with kids and that kind of thing. And I was so nervous before it, but then as I was speaking, who's my now tutor, bless him, he's great. I think he mentioned like on the call, he was like, yeah, we want to offer you a position. And I was like, okay. And then I just had to wait for like all the, like the official stuff. But honestly, it was such like an ego boost, and just being able to have a good conversation. I felt like maybe if I got interviewed by someone else, I might not have like opened up as easier or been so like confident. But with my tutor now, like I can go to him for like anything. Like I'll happily email him. Like if I'm having a tough time, I'm like, hey, dealing with this, how can we work on it? How can we do better? I even had like a personal tutoring session with him recently, and I was saying to him, if I ever work myself up and feel like I don't want to do this anymore, cuss me and remind me that of this moment. And he's like, I would never let you leave this anyway. Like he's like this is what you're like born to do and stuff, which is kind of really nice to hear. And again, I ramble a lot, I talk so much. I'm surprised, like my family are like, they get really annoyed by me, like because I just yappa. I'm surprised my friends don't get mad at me, because like I feel like it's different. Like family can kind of say if they want you to like shut up, but like friends might be a bit more like, yeah, let her carry on. But literally, if I talk too much, you tell me and I'll shut up.
No, it's all really useful stuff, and just really nice to hear about what your life is like, really. It's like sort of looking through a window and seeing a different person's point of view, which is exactly why we're doing these sorts of sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I cut you off just before, Claire. Were you going to ask?
Oh, no, it's okay. It was just another question that had come in, and I think you'll probably ask it in a bit anyway, Lisa. Have you got any advice for undergraduates before entering the industry?
Have a little think about logic as well. Like you don't want to just be like, oh no, I can do whatever, I can make it. And then like you do have to think a little bit logically. Like I'm not an idiot. Like I know that it, like from when, obviously not so much now, but from when I was like younger, like I know like I'm not gonna be working as often like a 9 to 5 and making however much, like it's not going to be it won't always be a regular paycheck. So you've got to kind of be comfortable enough in the position of knowing what you're worth, the fact that you are worth it, and the fact that you can do it, and the fact that there is like a clientele out there for like so many different art type of things. But you just do have to think about it a little bit logically as well. Like you don't want to just kind of go in it with like rainbows and fairies thinking, oh, it's gonna be great. Like life doesn't work like that, and it's not even just about being in the creative, it's like life in general just doesn't work like that. And I've learned that a lot. Like you have to kind of work for everything that you want. Like things aren't going to just be handed to you. You have to put in that work and that effort, and you got to kind of grind for it, and you got to push yourself. You got to do something that's a bit out of your kind of field. Like my projects weren't always about like like culture and kind of more positively speaking about mental health and body positivity and that kind of thing. My first year work was very dark, very depressing, very negative, but also kind of powerful. I made the conscious decision to change the way I was gonna do my work, because I could have kept in that but then ruined myself in the process. So, but
in a way, because you did that and you recognized and you wanted to change, it was a kind of a form of therapy, I guess.
Yeah,
could say.
Yeah, definitely. Like I did this one project which was for the Me Too campaign, and I had like me and like a variety of other survivors of sexual abuse, and that day that we kind of had together, it felt like group therapy. Like we were all kind of just hanging out, we were taking pictures together, we were chatting, we were talking through our stories. Sorry, I just remembered someone that was there, but they're not alive anymore. Anyway, yeah, it was just great. And we all made these like Me Too boards, and we all kind of had our own one. Even though we were doing the same thing, we all had our own like identity on them. Like I think my auntie, bless her, she did one with like blue and like glitter and everything like that, and then my one was just so basic, it had like dots on it, but then whereas someone else had like some different sparkles and different whatever. And yeah, it was a good time, and it was like a group therapy session, and it was like a little start to healing. Yeah,
it's interesting. I'm just thinking what you said before about the teaching and how you were sort of wrestling as to whether it was for you or for other people. And it sounds like that piece of work was for you as much as it was for other people as well. So there's this sort of dilemma that you're wrestling with quite a bit. Okay, I'm just trying to think of any more questions. So please do post any questions if you do have any for Aabidah. We've just got 10 minutes left to ask anything. What I was wondering, as you were talking about your artwork, the commercial photography, the fine art, have you ever had any business advice or support? Because that's something also that you have to get your head around, isn't it? As you work as a freelancer and on these jobs that are kind of, sometimes you've got work, sometimes you haven't.
Yeah, like I feel like I've been learning a lot as I've been kind of going. Like, I don't know, like I've worked in like retail, so like I've been on hand with like customer service and stuff, and obviously with my photography I deal with customers like firsthand, and it's just like, I don't know, I've just kind of always done it myself, and I've just kind of learned how to just deal with like money and stuff. But like, for a while, like, I've been working with like the finances in like with, my household and stuff, like, do all our budgeting for us, and, I'm quite good with money and I'm quite like sensible with it. I mean, sometimes I do want to have a shopping spree every so often, but who doesn't? But, overall, I'm pretty good with money. I know how to balance it. I know how to budget it. I've had a lot of experience in that, just like firsthand. So I haven't necessarily ever kind of had to go to someone for like extra advice. I've just kind of been learning it along the way. Like it's been a while now. It's been 7 years. Like, you pick up enough along the way, and it's like, sometimes there is going to be a dry spell of, not having a photography job for how long. Like obviously in the pandemic, I wasn't shooting. I was still trying to finish my degree from home. I did like that online project, digital distancing, and it was like I was spending more money than I was bringing in, because I wasn't bringing in anything. But I had savings. I'd kind of looked after my money enough to be in a position to be like, okay, can't work for a few months, but don't worry, my bills are paid for the next 6, so it's fine. Like I always keep my bill money aside. I always put travel money aside. I always put like miscellaneous money aside. Like I'm just very good with finances, and I feel like that's how I've been okay to like live on my own and stuff, because I am pretty good with money. But yeah, over time it just kind of develops a bit. So yeah.
So this is
sorry. I was just going to say, I mean, being really good with money has obviously gotten you through the pandemic, which must have been really, really tough trying to finish your studies during that time. Did you sort of come across any other challenges while you were studying online?
So I was in a bit of a rut for like a while, thinking, what am I going to do for my final major project? Because it started of me doing photographs in the studio on film with people, and it was those images that actually got me the Kodak award. And Kodak loved the way that I developed my project doing it online. So for like a while I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was getting like really stressed, and it was a lot. It wasn't until like I saw like a TikTok video of someone doing like a photo shoot through FaceTime, because with the live photo feature, and although I've used that feature like for fun, like if I'm on FaceTime with my sister, I'm going to take an ugly picture of us. I never thought to use it for work. But then I started doing that. I did that with like 80 plus participants across 13 different countries, just to the power of social media. There were some were new friends, some were old friends, some were complete strangers, some were people that just didn't know me, but they heard about it. Like it was just crazy. And it's just, I relied a lot on kindness of other people willing to give me time of their day, like, to jump on the phone with me. And they didn't even know what they were getting themselves in for. Like it was a secret. On the call, I would tell the person that they are beautiful, and I would get that instant candid reaction from them. So there was a lot of trust in like people not telling what's going to happen, but the fact that they didn't know what was going to happen, Yet they were like, yeah, let's help her. I don't know her, but I want to help her. She seems cool. Like, and I'm still friends with some of these people to this day. And that work's finally getting exhibited now in School of Art as well.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy. I actually have a video that I can show for that now that we're kind of talking about that. Let me just get that up for you guys. Video, there we go. I'll share my screen with you and then you guys can see. There's the Zoom. I've lost Zoom now. See, I thought it was a Zoom whiz, but obviously not.
If you just go
through the moment.
Yeah, if you just share your screen.
Oh yeah, I'm on it now.
Yeah.
I lost like the bit to actually click onto Zoom. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna share this with you. Can you guys see it before I press play?
We can, yeah.
So this is a little compilation of some of the different reactions from the different people. I think everyone's really beautiful, and I think that you're really beautiful as well.
I think you're very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Oh. Too kind. Thanks. All on there.
Thank you.
You do that. Thanks.
Thank you. You too.
Aww.
Okay. Whoa.
This is sweet. That's all.
Wow, baby. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, babes.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You're my definition.
You want to make me cry? Do you want to make me cry? Something about funny?
To be rich.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. How many people say that? Yeah, okay, thank you. Oh my god, thank you.
But yeah, so that was just a little video from that project, and that was like literally the pandemic was like a gold mine for that project. It would not have been thought about without the pandemic. It would not have had that much of a reach without the pandemic. It was very like in the moment, perfect with this time that we're kind of going through, and it's like a little part of history. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Honestly, that was such a lovely way to finish.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better way to finish a session like this, actually. And what a brilliant project. Brilliant in itself, but also because you had to quickly adapt and think about how you're going to do your final piece. Amazing. Really, really good.
Got a first on the project, so you know.
Well, there you go. I'm not surprised. Yeah, so we've come to the end of our time, actually. So I just want to say a big thank you to Aabidah for coming and spending time with us. I know you're incredibly busy, as you sort of outlined in the session today, but we really appreciate you spending time with us and just being so open and honest about some of the really personal and difficult challenges that you've been up against in your career, and for giving us such a good insight into those three branches of your career, the teaching and the fine art, and then also the commercial photography. I feel like we've got an awful lot from this session. And thank you everybody for attending as well and joining in. Thank you also for all your questions. If you'd like to join us next week, please do feel free. We've got Stephen Sharp coming in, who is the head of art and design within one of the local academies. So it'll be a really good insight into teaching as a career. And I suppose what's interesting comparing his with this one is that he's now at a kind of senior level within his school. So that will be on Wednesday. Usual time 2 till 3 via Zoom, and all you'll need to do is book so that you get the link. And that's it for today, folks. So thanks again and see you soon.
Thanks, Aabidah. Thanks, everyone.